Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of CVtv Workshops. Today, my name is Carlos, your host, as well as my co-host, David Dockin from CoralVue. How are you, David, today?
Good. Doing well. Thank you.
How's the weather down there? I know we always start this with, how's the weather,
man? It's getting warm, but it's nothing like you guys.
Yeah.
More snow?
No, yesterday we had some snow. Today is pretty cold. I think we're in the 30s again.
Wow.
I know you guys are in the 80s and it's humid.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So, you know, and then it's so great to see guests in here. We have Harkins Aquatics, Raven then Bob Winfrey, Michael Schrader's here, Mark Kinnery, Farm Boy Reef. Hey Ryan, how are you, man? So glad to see everybody. It's so good to see you. Today we have a great workshop today, Dave. We're going to talk about collectives and pretty much the number one difference, the biggest difference between the HYDROS and other devices, other controllers out in the market, and that is the collective, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Just to kind of delve into what we're doing, it's unlike any other controller on the market, past or current. And, not to get too technical on this show, but there's a difference in the protocol, which is an electronic communications unit protocol. So we'll kind of delve into that a little bit and try and show you what we're doing differently and why this system is so robust in functionality.
So before we get into details and everything, let's go to basics. Like the most basic question is, Dave, what is a collective? Tell me,
Yeah. A collective is basically a unit or a collective group of electronic communication devices that all speak to each other as one centralized network. So
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so you can have multiple units, multiple cases of redundancy through this, whereas if a unit should go down, the other units then pick up to take up for that unit that went down.
So in a collective, do all the units are the same? Are there modules? Are there units that are lower than other units? Is there like a main unit that controls everything, or every unit serves as a part of the brain?
Yeah, it's almost like a human body. It's its whole unit as one. In order to try and put it in simple terms, and what one device does or fails to do, the other one will pick up for and do the communication.
Okay, all right. So it's a sophisticated, pretty much just a sophisticated automated system where multiple units work together as one, but
Correct.
One individual unit is not more important than any other individual unit, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
But if you look at the way it's been done in the past, it's been one brain that then speaks to multiple dumb devices. We call them dumb because they can't do anything besides what that central computer tells them to do.
So
something should happen to that central computer, be it failure or failure to an individual USB port. Whatever's trailing daisy chain behind that is essentially useless at that point.
Okay, so so in the old way, if the center brain were die, then bad things would happen. In the new way, which is the HYDROS controller, because we have a collective, if a single entity dies, then it will be okay. So what happens in the old way if the main unit dies? What happens to all the units all the modules attached to it?
They essentially become a boat anchor at that point. They're dead weight. There's nothing you can do with it.
Okay. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. No, I was just saying, Carlos, there's a reason why so many industrial manufacturers went to what is a CANbus protocol, which is what the HYDROS is using. the automotive industry, airplane manufacturers, big industrial equipment manufacturers have all gone to this CANbus protocol that HYDROS is using. And the reason, I believe, is simply because of that. It's multiple points of failure that is essentially eliminated with this.
Yeah, so I mean, everybody can see, and we're sharing the screen right now, David, and you can see this too, but everybody sees the old way and the new way graphically. And as you can see on the left-hand side, we have the old way the controllers do it, where there's a single brain entity, and then there's modules connected to that controller. Unfortunately, no matter what's wired or not, so if you have a wired power strip and the main controller dies, so will your power strip, you know, right. So nothing will happen. So that's where it is. On the right-hand side, we have the HYDROS, technology and HYDROS way of thinking. And what we've done is we've created a collective with every device is just as important as the other one. So what happened in there, as you can see, is when on the left-hand side, when the main brain died, all the little modules died too. On the HYDROS, when one of the brains died, the other brains remain working. And as you can see, because everything is intertwined together in many ways, then the brain, the collective, bypasses that device and still works and keeps running your tank like anything, like if it wasn't, like if it was there. That's technically what it does.
You know, you think about how much we all have invested in our tanks, and you know, this is our pets. We love this. You want to just have the best system you can put behind it if you're going to invest in a controller. And well, yeah.
Not only that, Dave. I mean, the old way was something that was developed back in the early 2000s and late 90s. Exactly.
Is built by Schneider Electric. It's no secret. The protocol works. It works. But
yes,
in a decade or so later, Bosch comes along with this CANbus protocol. Mm-hmm. And now you can see the cost has come down in this protocol, making it more affordable for people like us in the aquarium industry. But we wanted to take this technology and incorporate it into what we're doing. And that's what we've done.
Bring the aquarium control to 2021. I mean, we are 1/5 of the 21st century done. We should bring our aquariums controls to that as well, not just start still using 1970s technology. Yep. Good. So that is what a collective does. I mean, it's a safety net, and I love it. What are the big benefits of a collective? So first of all, and we've covered this, but I'm just going to go over them. We have redundancy. If one of the devices fails, then the other devices will pick it up. Okay. Yep. We have expandability, which also means that if you need to add more inputs or outputs, you can add more HYDROS devices and expand your collective without purchasing a hardware. And the beauty about it is that as you're expanding, you're making your collective even stronger, because instead of one brain, now you have two brains. Instead of two brains, now you have three brains. Instead of three brains, you have four, and so forth. The more brains you have, the stronger of a system you have. One configuration as well, which makes it great, because you don't have to, when you create a collective, you don't have to configure 5 different brains. You create one virtual brain and then add all the brains to it, and the virtual brain takes care of configuration, which is also great. Redundancy when it comes to Wi-Fi. I know Wi-Fi is a huge thing that people keep hitting us with, you know, and there's a reason why we're doing the collective. Every device is capable of becoming a Wi-Fi master. So when you have a collective, one single device in the collective takes care of controlling your Wi-Fi devices. But if that Wi-Fi master, as we call it, were to fail, then any of the other devices, based on a hierarchy that you are going to set when you configure your collective, any of the other devices will say, hey, the master Wi-Fi is down, let me take over and control the Wi-Fi strips. And it'll take over controlling the Wi-Fi strips. So you don't have to worry about losing your first HYDROS device and then the Wi-Fi strips are dead. If your first HYDROS device fails, the second HYDROS device will say, hey, first one failed, let me take over. And the last thing I do is the single interface, which goes back to one interface. you only have one location to configure. You don't have to configure 3 different controllers in order to make them work together. You just control one location, and all your inputs, all your outputs are in one location. So if you have a control 4 and a control XS, you're going to have 8 inputs, and they're all 8 inputs are in one screen. All 2 outputs are in one screen. So I hope that makes sense to everybody. That's what a collective means. So as part of the collective, what is, and you touched upon this for a little bit, Dave, but I want to go over it again. Command bus ports. Yep. What kind of technology we're using on those command bus ports?
That's CANbus technology. We're transferring data, and we can also transmit power through that bus port.
Now, why are we using command bus? Why are not we using USB? What does CANbus do? And give me examples in real life, and not aquariums, it's not real life, but give me examples in real life of where CANbus is used.
Like I mentioned, in the automotive industry, I was researching it. There's over 70 of these ECUs in a typical car, and they're all running on a command bus protocol.
I know that the airbags run on command bus.
Airbags, everything's tied through.
And why do airbags run on command bus? Why can't they run on Ethernet? Why can't they run on serial? Why can't they run on USB?
Yes, speed, reliability. It's really redundancy, as we mentioned. All of these things that we, discussing here is the reason we went in this direction.
Right. Some people will say, well, you know what? Ethernet is pretty reliable. And I say, yes, Ethernet is pretty reliable. But you're talking about a fraction of a second between the car hitting and that airbag deploying. Right. And Ethernet is just not fast enough to transfer that data. Now, USB-C is fast enough. But then again, how many times, guys, do you have a camera or something on your computer and it doesn't work? You have to unplug the USB, and then you can't just say, okay, hold on, don't hit me yet because I got to unplug the USB airbag and plug it in, and now you can hit me. It doesn't work that way. So that's the reason why CANbus is used, because CANbus is not only fast, but it is incredibly reliable. After 10, 20 years of being in the same position, together, it'll still work.
Yeah.
That's the reason why.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. So creating a collective requires us, to grab, 2 devices, 2 HYDROS devices, and we have to physically connect them together. Now, you cannot create a collective using Wi-Fi, okay? Again, you're adding reliability. So on this particular point, when you're trying to connect 2 HYDROS devices together, then we need to connect them with a wire. So I'm going to ask our producer, April, to put the first picture in here. Thank you, April. All right, so as you can see right here, we have a simple collective of 3 devices. But as you can see, in order to create a collective, you have to have wires. You got to wire from what we call the command bus port to command bus port to command bus port. As you can see right there, the command bus ports, the cables are connected. And what we're using is what we call in this particular occasion, we're using a data and power cable. This little Terminator is what makes CANbus reliable. Yeah. This little thing is what makes it work. If it wasn't for this thing, CANbus wouldn't be as reliable as it is now. But because of this little tiny here that has a circuit, that has a little resistor inside, CANbus becomes incredibly reliable.
And we witnessed that firsthand.
Yeah.
During the testing process.
Yes, exactly. We thought about being able to get away with it. It didn't work out, so that's why we have a Terminator. So anyway, that's how you create the collectives. Okay, so we have 2 types of cables. We have the data and power cable. I know, I'm sorry, it's all tangled up, because we still have technical difficulties. But we also have, in those data and power cables, are any cable that is 5 feet or any up to 15 feet. 15 feet is the cutoff, and we sell them at on CoralVue.com. Okay, now another second cable we have is a data only cable. So the data only cable looks exactly like this data power cable, except the length is going to be 15 feet plus. Okay, all right. So that is if you're running two HYDROS devices. One is in your garage where your water station is, and the other one is in your tank. Then you would need a data only cable, and then you can put multiple power supplies. Now, multiple power supplies brings to another great question, and I saw it going in there. On the collective, it says, well, if I create a collective of 5 devices, but I only have one power supply, if my power supply goes down, then what happens? Exactly. We thought about that. We actually did. So what we have is called power islands. Okay, so you can have multiple power supplies on a collective. The only thing you have to make sure is that the connection between the 2 devices that have power supplies uses a data-only cable. So you don't, and it's pretty intuitive. If you have 2 devices with a power supply, you don't have to share power when each device already has power. So what you do is you connect it in a way that I only want data to transfer instead of data and power. Okay, so I know April, you have some pictures in there of a collective power island with about 3 different Control 2 units. If you don't mind putting that picture up, that would be great, so people can see it. Thank you. There you go. So that's perfect. Thank you. So you can see there's a collective of 3 devices. Look at the 2 devices on the left. They each have a power supply. At that point, because they have a power supply, you can't connect them directly. What you do is you use a data-only cable. They are still part of the collective. All 3 are part of a same collective, but the one on the left has its own power supply. The one on the 2 on the right share a power supply. And April, if you go to the next picture on this sequence, you can see the data and power. So you see on the left-hand side, the 2 left units use a data-only cable, while the 2 right units use a data and power. Why? Because the 2 right units are sharing the power supply in the center unit. Okay, so what happens if one of the power supplies goes down? Yes, it'll take the left unit or it'll take the 2 units on the right-hand side. But because of the collective, if the 2 units on the right-hand side die, the left take over and will pick up and do everything that needs to be done, including taking over the Wi-Fi strips. If by some reason the one on the left fails, then the 2 on the right are going to take over the Wi-Fi strips and controlling them. So you have that redundancy. Okay, chances of both power supplies failing are pretty slim. So if you have more power supplies, unless you lose power, which if you lose power, that's a completely different problem. Okay, so exactly. Thank you, April. Thank you so much. Now, some people have also said that they have a lot of people have a wave engine, and they're asking, it's like, hey, can I power my collective with a wave engine? And the answer is yes. Actually, it is yes. So the power supply, April, I'm going to ask you to put a collective in there with a single wave engine. So if you could put that picture with a single wave engine, that would be great. And one single wave engine has, there you go. So as you can see, there is a single wave engine on the right-hand side. And then there's 3 controls on the left part of the screen. The single wave engine is pretty much powering the 2 controls in the middle. And then you can see on the left-hand side, there's a Control 2 by itself with its own power supply. Again, look at the connection between the left controller and the Control 4 in the middle. You can see that there's only a data-only cable, while the connection between the 2 controls in the middle and the wave engine uses data and power. All these 4 devices are part of a collective, again, but the 3 devices on the right are powered by a single power supply, and the device on the left has its own power supply. Again, giving you a redundancy and power. That's kind of cool.
Carlos,
sure.
Some people may be wondering what's up with that controller on the left with the data cable. Can you describe maybe a scenario in which that would be applicable, such as maybe an RODI unit in the garage?
That's what it is. And I mentioned that before. If you have an RODI unit or they have a water station unit on the garage, you can do that where you have to run that long cable. Okay. But people say, I still have to run it on cable. Yes. But once you run that cable to the garage, all the sensors, all the outputs that you connect to that controller are accessible by the controllers on your tank. So technically you could say, if my water level in the sump is too low, turn my RODI, turn my solenoid, and let water fill up. Once the water sensor in the sump becomes wet, then turn off my RODI in my garage. You can do that, which you couldn't do that with other systems. All right. So the next part of a collective is two-wave engines. I know there's people out there like Jeff Benedek who's got a couple wave engines. Here you go. Two-wave engines can be connected together via CANbus. And you can see on the left-hand side, there's a little control 2 or a control XS that is being powered by the wave engines. The beauty about it is that if one of the wave engines power supply fails, the other power supply on the other wave engine will take over. So this gives you that versatility of power.
Yeah.
Again, as you can see on all the pictures, and this is kind of like one thing that everybody has probably not seen or I haven't emphasized, is every picture that I've shown you with a collective, there is a terminator. There is a terminator. The terminator can be attached to any open CAN bus port. Now we recommend, actually, there's one terminator here for best optimal performance. You put one terminator on one side and one terminator on the other side. But if you just put one terminator, you'll be okay. Okay, so it's best to put two terminators if you have two open CAN bus ports. But if you only have one, that's perfectly fine. But a collective should never be created without a terminator. Even a collective of one, which turns out to be almost a collective of one, it's an oxymoron, because a collective of one, it's just one. Even a collective of one requires a terminator. Okay? Perfect. So on the next segment, we're going to be talking about how we are actually going to create this collective with the app. Now that we've gone over it, all the information on how to create an app. So before we move on to the next segment, we'll just have a word from our sponsors. Hey everybody, welcome back. We're here on a workshop talking about collectives for the HYDROS control. Before we move on, we have a couple of things that we have to cover in here. I want to say hello to Wendy Tam, Flaco Garza, Reef Community Worldwide, Mark Kinnery again, Don, our main guy, is here, Timothy Wan is here, also is Jeff Bernadette is here, also answering questions. So this is great, guys. Thank you so much. If you like the show, if you like what you're seeing, please, we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. Make sure that you hit that like button, hit that bell, hit the thumbs up, so that when you are, at work or something, you'll get a little notification that CoralVue is going live and you can check us out. Or if you're waiting in line at the grocery store or maybe getting your COVID vaccine, whichever it is, it'll be good. Also, please know that most of the information that we are covering here is also covered in our forum at forum.coralvuehydros.com. That's where you find the latest information, and when you can ask a wide array of people there that are always willing to help you out. There's a big difference. I know Facebook is out there and everybody can ask questions. The problem is that it's very difficult to search on Facebook. Yes, you can search on Facebook, but not, I mean, I'm going to say probably 90% of the population doesn't know how to search on Facebook. I don't know how to search on Facebook. So, most likely the answer, somebody has asked a question and searching it helps. If you go to forum.coralvuehydros.com, you're able to search and most likely you'll find the answer to your question. If you don't, then post a question, we'll answer it, and you will do a great service to our community by asking the question. There's not a bad question out there. The bad question is the question that hasn't been asked. So asking the question to build this community and this information is what we are all about. So thank you so much for that. Before we move on though, Dave, you have some stores that we like to feature during the show?
Yeah, I like to give a shout out to the stores. These guys are the lifeline to this hobby and industry. And so I like to share what stores are picking up HYDROS now and stocking it in the store. So we have Salty Critter in Vermilion, Ohio, Seven Seas Fish and Corals in Victoriaville, California, Midwest Aquarium Services in Fargo, North Dakota, and Strictly Reef in Reno, Nevada. So a lot of stores are getting on board and really liking what they're seeing, and we greatly appreciate that.
That is fantastic. I know, it's so great to see the stores picking up our product. All we're asking is all we do. I mean, Dave and the entire CoralVue team is all we wanted to do is give the consumer an option. That's it. That's it. You got an option when you purchase airline tickets. You got an option when you buy a car. Heck, you got an option when you have a fish tank. You can go Reef Octopus tank. There's like 20 different brands. Right. But when it came to controllers, there really wasn't an option. And we're like, you know what? We need options. We need options. Everything in the hobby is advancing, yet the controllers were still stuck in 1970 technology. So that's why we wanted to do that. So, hey, we're just trying to give you an option. Honestly, guys, we're not going to hide it. We're transparent. It may not be the option for you, and that's okay. That's okay. There isn't anything out there that pleases everybody. They're just, we all know this. In business, you can't please everybody. So we're just hoping that some people will like it and some people will don't. And, just give us a chance. If you don't like it, you know what? Maybe next time, that's what we want. Right?
I'd like people to also realize we're only a little over 4 months into this. I really wish they could see the whole line that's even behind this. That we're trying to get to market, and believe me, we're trying very hard. So we know what we have here. We're very confident in it, and there's a lot more to come. So bear with us, and hope you see something you like. All
right. So now I'm going to go ahead and create a collective here in front of you guys so you can see it. So I have a Control 4, and I have a Control XS. Right there. I got them both right there. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and my Control 4 is plugged into power. Obviously, you can see the LED lights are on. All right. I have my power supply. I have a couple of sensors already pre-configured here. It's good. It's running. It's doing its thing. It's got it's a 20-gallon fish tank. That's it. That's what I have. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my Control XS. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in my Terminator. So I'm going to grab my Terminator and I'm going to plug it into one of the CANbus. And you know what? Here at CoralVue and at HYDROS, we try to make everything as simple as possible. Look at the color, blue. Look at the Terminator, blue. You can't go wrong. Also, in addition to that, each port right here has number of pins. This number of pins, this one's got 5, this one's got 4. So if I try to connect Terminator to a green, physically I can't. So you cannot go wrong. So I'm going to connect my Terminator to my Control XS. There you go. Now I'm going to grab my handy dandy command bus cable, which is a power cable. You know, it's 6 feet long, and I'm gonna grab it and I'm gonna plug it into my other port on my control XS. So let me go ahead and do that right now. Right there, we're good, we're good. So I'm gonna grab the other end, okay? And I'm gonna go ahead and plug it to my control 4. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the control 4 and I'm gonna plug it right in here. There. So both devices are physically connected together. Step 1, physically connected together. Now I'm gonna go ahead and power my control 4 again. And it's gonna boot up both devices at the same time. Give it a second. All right, and there you go. Okay. All right. So now I'm gonna go to my handy dandy app, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna ask April to share that screen, that part of my screen. And here's my control 4. And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and hit that control 4 again because I was just I just unplugged it. That's right. I unplugged it, so it's got to refresh itself. All right. Refresh one more time in here. For status. Go right here. You know, this is. I feel like the Apple. You know, there's always a technical difficulty. There it is. Okay, so we got them right there. So I have my control 4. It's plugged in. As you can see, I have a collection cup. I have a temperature sensor. This is my ambient temperature sensor, and I have a skimmer running. Okay. So what I'm going to do is the first thing you got to do is you have to connect to the control 4 or the controller that is going to be your main controller. All right. At first, I already configured this. This is a system that is running, you know, hypothetically speaking, this is a system that is running. So I'm going to create a collective using this system. So I don't have to reprogram everything. So once I have a good status of this, I'm going to go to here. I'm going to go to the plus symbol, and I'm going to create a new collective. Okay. I'm going to say continue, and I'm going to call it collective. Now, this is very important. Importing settings from your control 4. See what it is? So it's confirming that I'm going to take my control 4 and import all the settings from my current controller into it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit create. It's going to go to my handy dandy clown in here, and hopefully everything works. And I'm going to go ahead and upload the changes. And we're going to wait for the controller to work. Hopefully everything works. You know how it is. Everything works every time, and then when you try using it, actually, you know, it doesn't work. You know, I've seen Tesla do that. I've seen Apple do that, and Microsoft. I mean, so it's a, you know what? You're not immune to it. It always happens. There you go. So now we're going to go back, and it's called a collective. I'm going to go to the status screen, hit the refresh button right here, and you know, I may have to right here. I may have to go collective right here. And waiting for status. Let's see. Hopefully it'll work. Come on. Oh, collective not responding. Let's see. I might have to restart the device. Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and restart this device. Yeah. See the technical difficulties. Gotta love it. While we do that, I want to say hello to Bob Winfrey as well, Reef Keeper, Hernano Reeves. Always thank you for helping us out and being here watching. Okay, so I have a control 4 now. Let's see right there. So you see I have a collective, okay? And now you see the difference. It says collective, okay. And there's this little collective icon in here. That little collective icon tells me that the control 4 is my Wi-Fi master. And if April, could you put me back on the screen? I'm going to show something in here real quick. And I hope you can see it right here. But as you can see, I'm going to make this right here. The lights to the side and around it are blue, but the light in the center right here, it's actually white. That is a physical cue that the control 4 is part of a collective. And the white means that the control 4 is actually my Wi-Fi master. All right? So I'm going to put this down. So now, let's go back to the screen. Okay, as you can see, it transferred my my collection cup, it transferred my heater, it transferred my skimmer, so I didn't have to touch anything. It's all good to go. So now what I need to do is I'm going to add the control XS to my collective. So I'm going to go to Open, I'm going to go to Devices, and I'm going to go to Plus, and then I'm going to add my control XS, which is right here. I'm going to hit that. Here's the Wi-Fi master priority. This allows me to tell it if when one Wi-Fi master fails, do I want the control XS to become a Wi-Fi master? And why do we have that? Because if you have this XS in the garage, which is, you know, very, very far away from your Wi-Fi router, then you may not want this one to become the Wi-Fi master. You may want this one to stay out of it. So you have different choices. I have preferred, normal, last resort, or never. I'm going to leave it as normal for now, and I'm going to go ahead and upload the changes. And again, hopefully the changes will go through, because, you know, it's like, you know, it's like those fishing shows or the cooking shows. You go cooking, and then they go fishing. I know Anthony Bourdain used to say that they had fishing scenes, and every time they went to a fishing scene, they would never catch anything. They would catch fish before it, but when they were actually filming the fishing scene, they would never catch anything. You know how it is. It's Murphy's Law. It is Murphy's Law. So I'm going to go ahead, and now I have a collective. And there you go. Now take a look at this. You see the difference? All of a sudden now I have Control X4 and my Control XS as part of one single thing. Again, my Control X4 is the Wi-Fi master. Now, what makes the collective so good is that now I can access all the sensors, all the things from a single device. Let me make an example for you. I'm going to grab and I'm going to create a new input. And it's going to be called sump level. Sump level. Create. Now I'm going to go to type, and I'm going to do a sense board. Sense mode, I'm going to do water level. Now take a look at this. This is what a collective means. This is what makes the collective so good. You see, there are there's the sense ports for the control 4. Now the reason why it's only showing port 3 and 4 is because I'm using 1 and 2, so it's not going to let you code something that already exists. But then see the XS. The 4 sense ports for the XS are listed here. I don't have to go to the XS. I don't have to go to the X4. It's all listed here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select port 1 on the XS, and then I'm going to go ahead and upload the changes. And while I upload the changes, I'm going to add my little water sensor sensor to the Control XS port number 1. And again, we're going to wait for it to upload. You know, and hopefully it'll upload. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. I promise you, this actually is a lot faster on the next version of the app. You know, this version of the app is still a little bit slow, but the new version of the app is going to be awesome, and it's going to be much, much faster. So we're just going to wait for that. And while we wait, this, you know what? Hey, it happens. Upload failed. And this is good that actually happened, because eventually after that, after 5 seconds, it gives you upload changes. So you just click upload changes, and most likely it'll go through that time. You know, you're talking about cloud devices and so forth. So it does happen sometimes. Okay. So let's see that. All right. And it's going to go ahead and go through, hopefully soon. All right. Come on. Go figure. Anyway, while this goes through, I'm going to go ahead and show you physically connected that water level sensor. All right. And then that part is there. So what I have to do now is I'm going to have to configure a return pump or something and base it on that water sensor. And then you can see that it went through just fine now this time around. Sometimes the cloud gets a little bit tricky. With traffic or internet connection, you know, I'm streaming live, I'm doing a couple of other things in here too, so it does happen. So now I'm going to go to the collective, let's go to the status screen. All right. I'm going to wait for the collective to show up, and then there it is. And I know it says updates. I'm going to cancel that out right now. As you can see right there, now you have a sump level wet screen. And the last thing we need to do is just create an output. Add an output. I'm going to call it, you know what? I'm going to call it ATO. Create. Go to ATO. Level input, I'm going to use sump level. Output device, I'm going to put control X4 drive port. That's where I have my little pump connected. So take a look at this. This is so cool. The ATO is using a sump water level that is connected to my XS, but the pump itself is actually connected to my X4, my control 4. Isn't that awesome? And then just hit upload. Okay, and then it'll upload automatically, and then that's what a collective does. It allows you to create multiple devices. It allows you to do multiple devices, and this time it went through pretty fast. Okay, so as you can see there, I go back to the status screen, wait for that, and there you go. I have an ATO that is based on the sump level. Since my sump level is wet, my ATO is off. My skimmer collection cup is dry, therefore my skimmer is on. And I have a temperature sensor, which I am sensing ambient temperature in this one right now. It's a little cold in this house, but I'm in the main room. Plus, when it's 30 degrees outside, 63 is flippers and t-shirts. I'm going to tell you that. So that is what a collective does. It's so easy to use, and like I said, you know what? I love technical difficulties because it makes the show so much fun. I'm sure the guys, everybody, Bob, Jeff, Brandon, they're all having a good time laughing at me for trying to, you know, work with it. But it happens. It happens. It happens. Yeah, Dave is sweating it in here, but it worked. It worked. We have one fail, which is when upload, but again, you get that yellow bar again, and then it turns on. Okay, so that's how easy you do a collective. Now, the one thing I got to remember that you have to remember that is that you can only import the very first device when you first create a collective. That's it. That's it. Anything you import afterwards imports into the collective blank. So if you've configured a control 4 and a control 2, and you bring the control 4 into the collective, when you create the collective, it'll import everything from the control 4. Then, subsequently, you bring a control 2 into the collective, you will lose everything on that control 2. You'll have to recreate it again into the collective when you are in the collective. That is the only catch. Okay, so any subsequent device, any control, any subsequent device that is brought into a collective after the collective was created will be brought in blank, and then you're going to have to manually reconfigure it. But you're configuring it as a one entity, as a collective.
Right.
Okay? Hope that makes sense for everybody. All right? Again, if you're watching the show, if you have a good time, if you like what you're seeing, if you're interested in this, please make sure you hit that like button, hit that bell, hit that subscribe button. We're streaming live on Facebook. We're streaming live on YouTube so that you get notified right away when we have a new show. Also, the latest information, and you can ask questions to great community. I know Jeff is there, Danny, Mark, you know, everybody's down there at the forum.coralvuehydros.com. You know, we're all there to help you. We're all there to make it easy as possible. And you know what? I don't like to brag, but the reason why we don't have that many questions is because the controller is so easy. That's why. That's why we don't have that many questions, because it's so easy to go. So I just wanted to say that I love you guys. This is what a collective is. This is what makes the HYDROS different than any other controller. You know, this is what separates the HYDROS from it.
Hey, Carlos, a lot of people asking about the wave engine being integrated.
You know, it's something that, you know what? It'll be very soon. It'll be a lot sooner than you expect.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a lot sooner than you expect. All I can tell you right now is that system in the back, Dave's system, is running on a collective with a fully integrated wave engine.
Yeah.
That's all I can give you. All right? That's all I can give you. All right? So thank you so much for watching. Dave, how are you doing in here? We actually covered this in 1 hour, man.
Oh, you did good, man. Did real good.
What do you mean you did? We did good, man.
Yeah. Oh.
We did good. We did good after Dave is about to have a heart attack over there, and he's gonna, Wendy's like, I'm gonna have to take him to the hospital. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for bearing with us. I know we had some technical difficulties. It happens. We love it. It makes life so much more fun. If things go, different, sometimes when they go awry, they actually, that's the things you remember. Yeah. So again, thank you for watching. Subscribe, hit that like button, hit that little bell. We have a show almost every other Tuesday. I know we had 2 Tuesdays in a row, but we thought that the collective was such a big subject that we need to cover it right away. Thank you again for watching. I want to say thank you to Alex. I want to say thank you to Jeff, Bob, Reef Automation, Richard is here, Gabe, everybody here, and everybody else that I missed that I haven't called out. So, sorry about that, but thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.